Today we continue with our class Halachos of Brochos. Today, class number 27. And we start with Sefer Halachos. Big topic is the same. We live in Lashon Hara. So today's topic is exception to the rule. Let's see. We have already seen that one may not believe even his spouse or close confidant when they relate negative information about others. At most, he may consider the possibility that the information might be true. So it's very, very important. Doesn't matter how close it is, the person to us, he also might be mistaken and also have feelings, and he also can take information out of context. The Talmud states that one exception to this rule is whether the listener considers the speaker to be a man of unusual integrity, whose words are weighed very carefully, right? Such a person can be trusted to relate the incident exactly as it happened, to the extent that the listener can consider himself as having witnessed it. It's very interesting. And thus may accept a report as a fact. Nevertheless, since the decision that the speaker is trustworthy is a personal one, made by the listener, he cannot pass the information to the others if he had witnessed it, even for a constructive purpose. So now we're talking about, let's say, I don't think there is such a person, but let's say there is such a person of exceptional dignity, right? And integrity, dignity, integrity, right? And dignity. And now whatever he said that's what it was, right? That we can take it for granted. That's what exactly happened, right? And so we can consider as what just one second, to the extent that the listener can consider himself having witnessed it. Right? So he had witnesses, and thus may accept it as a report as a fact, and just can believe it. Nevertheless, since the decision that the speaker is trustworthy, right, is a personal one, so made by the listener, so he decided that he is trustworthy, he cannot pass the information to the others as if they had witnessed it, as if he had witnessed it, even for a constructive purpose. So basically, on one hand, right, he can be considered as he witnessed it, meaning that he can believe what that person is saying, single person, right? And on another hand, it says no. He cannot be counted as the one who witnesses, because that was his personal decision. This person has this integrity and trustworthy. Okay. The Chofetz Chaim is of the opinion that today no one can claim to have the degree of integrity necessary for his words, okay, to be accepted as a fact. And it is therefore forbidden for anyone to believe negative statement on the basis of someone else's report. So maybe in the Talmudic times there were such people, that today we're good. Baruch Hashem. Okay, so we'll stop here. So we continue with Halachos of Brochos, and we're on the chapter. So we are on chapter. Just 1 second, going back. I'm not sure if he's not saying chapter. I don't think it's a secret. So we're on chapter number 9. Okay, so we're on chapter number 9. And the topic was changing of location. So last time we discussed when the changes of location is actually considered halakhically changing of location, in what instances the person has to repeat this blessing. Okay, so we continue with section D, and the title is someone remains at the table. So basically we have the meal together. I'm going outside, but somebody is still at the table. If one was eating with a friend or a family member and leaves, when he returns to resume eating with him, he will not be required to make a new bracha. Okay, so it's very clear. So commentary, let's say. We refer here to one who is not dining on bread, Mezonos, as any fruit of 7 species. If one have eaten the bread, Mezonos, etc., and changed location, even if he was dining alone, a new bracha would not be required. Okay, so bread and Mezonos and things of 7 species like grapes, pomegranates, and dates, olives. So this would be, it is exception. We didn't get to it, it's section F. If he goes to another place, he would not need to make a new blessing. Okay. So now we're talking about meal without bread. Let's say they were eating salad and fish. Okay. So continue. Normally, when one leaves in the middle of the eating session, it is considered termination of the session. So if he is dining alone, right? He goes out, of course, without bread. Right? So he goes out, he comes in, he has to make a new blessing. In this case, however, since the someone with whom he was eating continues dining, his original session did not terminate. So they start, basically the simple explanation, they started this eating session together, right? And just because I went out does not mean that session terminated, because that person's still there at the table. Okay. Therefore, when he resumes eating with him, it is a resumption of the original eating session. A new bracha is not required. So exactly as we said. So it's like continuation of original session, and new blessing is required. But if he went outside and walked a little and then came back, so it's for sure it's interruption, and eating session ended, and he needs to make a new blessing. Continue. This exemption is based on 2 considerations. Number 1, that there was an eating session in progress when he left. Okay. Eating session in progress. Yeah, they started eating and that person left. Okay. And number 2, he will most likely not to be rude and not to return. Very interesting. The exemption will not apply if either of these factors is missing. So I'm not sure why he would not return. I'm not sure what is the situation, but let's see. Usually people do return. Okay, I don't know. For example, I would say maybe here's the situation. So they eat together. They start eating together, and then one of them receives a phone call by the opponent. So he wants to step outside and talk on the phone, right? And then he comes back. He can just continue eating without no new blessing is necessary. So let's see. For example, if he was dining alone, but will clearly return. For example, he leaves his infant or passport behind. Since no one was left behind to continue his eating session, new bracha will be required. Let's read one more time. I'm not sure if this example. If he was dining alone, but he will clearly return. For example, he leaves an infant or a passport behind. Since no one was left behind to continue his eating session, new bracha will be required. So he went, I don't know wherever he went, and let's say there is his bag is still there, right? So he will return still, does not make any difference, since there was no second person at the table or other people at the table, so he has to make a new blessing. Continue. Similarly, if one's friends joined him at the table, but were not eating there with him, his session does not remain in progress when he leaves. One more time. Similarly, if one's friends joined him at the table, but were not eating there with him, his session does not remain in progress when he leaves. When he returns to resume eating, a new bracha will be required. So I guess here's the situation. Let's say there is a cafeteria, right? one person start eating, another person start eating at a different table. They make their own blessing, and now they see each other. They want to sit together and eat. So the person number 2 came to person number 1. So they eat together. Then the person number 1 said, "I need to make a phone call." So he stepped out. He comes back. So he needs to make a new blessing. Why? Because the eating session was not established for two of them. Right? They have separate eating sessions. I think that's an explanation of this example. Okay, number 1, not valid in another location. This exception applies only in cases where he returned to rejoin a person he left behind. If he wishes to continue his meal in another location, it is considered to be a new eating session, and new bracha is required. For example, one was dining with friends when he was called to his office. Okay, if he returns to dine with his friends, he will not be required to make a new bracha. If, however, he wishes to eat in the office, he will require to make a new bracha. Okay, so here's the situation. I think it's a good example. So people, they have, let's say they work in the office and they have a cafeteria there, and they start eating together, and then somebody paged him, and he needs to go to his desk. He came to his desk. So if he comes back after any amount of time, people they're still eating at the table, so he can continue eating without blessing. If he decided to continue eating in his new location, right, he would need to say blessing. Let's say he had a cup of coffee from the morning, right? So he would need to say different separate blessing. Why? Because that eating session ended. Once he decided not to come back, so it's ended. Okay. Citation number 2. Does not apply if the others finish eating. Very interesting. This exception does not apply in cases where the other had left or finished eating and made bracha achrona. If at the time he returns to join them, they had left or finished eating and made bracha achrona, the original session is over and new bracha is required. So that's straightforward. So okay, so same situation. They were eating in cafeteria together. They paged him. He went to his desk, and now he comes back. By the time he comes back, he took care of the issue. So they already finished eating. So that's it. So eating session is over. He needs to make a new blessing. So if they would continue eating, so that's not a problem. He could eat without blessing. Okay, continue. Okay, so situation number 3. Dining together. This exemption does not apply if the parties were not specifically dining with one another. For example, 2 people were independently sit down at one table in a restaurant or dining room and not considered to be dining together. Like in a cafeteria, in a company cafeteria, right? There are many people, right? Maybe they say, or like in a restaurant. But just because they sit at the same table does not mean that they're eating together. Complete strangers. Okay, so continue. This exemption applies in all instances where the person were eating a meal together, even if the meal did not consist of bread and Mezonos. So that's okay. So they remind us again. So if bread and Mezonos, if he comes back, he does not need to make a blessing. It depends how much time elapsed also. But let's see. Let's continue. We didn't get to time period. If it also applies in cases where the parties sat down to eat a snack together. For example, if 2 friends go out to have an ice cream sundae together, and one lives in the middle, when he returns to resume eating with his friend, he is not required to make new bracha. Okay, that's a different example. I mean, all of that's a very similar example. Whatever they were eating, he come back, and friend is still eating, so eating session did not finish. Okay, so we got to the next section, number E, traveling. A normal mode of eating while traveling is to start in one location and finishes in another. When one eats as he walks or travels, the continuous change of location does not mark the end of his eating session, because he never intended to establish himself in any one location. That's a very interesting thing, right? So when person is sitting down to eat, that's his location, where the eating session is going to be. When he's walking or driving in a car, so he never thought or established his location anywhere. He's just his location in the car, right? So he continue driving, no problem. So it's one bracha is enough. But we learn just a side note. We learn in Hilchot Diot, it's not proper to walk and eat. So Jew, it's better than as I'm not sure if we said this story. So in Talmud they say a story. About watchman for a dead body, right? A watchman for a dead body. So Talmud says, okay, so until the person buried, so somebody have to be with the body. That's a Jewish custom, right? and this person, well, what if this person wants to eat? Sometimes we can bury next day or 2 days from now. You never know, right? Or at least even 1 day, doesn't matter. He's hungry, he wants to eat. So they say, let him go to his home, to his house, and eat in his house and come back. And then they say, okay, but his house is very far away. It's not going to work. Okay, Talmud said that let him go to his friend's house and eat there and come back. They say, okay, there's no friend's house. He doesn't have friends in this town. Okay, so let him go to another room and eat. Right? So they say it's not proper. There's no another room. I don't know where it was full water. Whatever. He could not go to a different room. So they say, let him turn his back to the dead body and eat. Right? So that's the solution. So Gemara asked, one second. Why they didn't offer him an option, just go outside, just sit outside? Because it is embarrassing for a dead body. Right? So body is laying there and he cannot do mitzvahs because he's dead. Right? Unfortunately. But so it's like now when somebody can do mitzvahs, so it's like taunting him. That's why we tackle the tzitzis inside, right? Not to discredit the person. To show like, okay, oh, you cannot do mitzvahs, guess what? I'm still doing it. Because you're dead, I'm still alive. So it's disrespect to the body. Right? So eating in that room is disrespect to the body. So you cannot eat, but guess what? I can eat. So why? So Gemara asks, so why don't you tell the person go outside and eat? Just stand by the door. Okay, it's not disrespect to the body inside of the house. Just go outside of the house, stay there and eat. What's the problem? Why you never offer this option? You send this guy to his house, to his neighbor's house, to his friend's house, to all this other location. Never offer such opinion. Gemara says for a Jew, it's not allowed to eat outside because it looks like disgusting. When people eat outside, especially when walking, it looks disgusting. You understand? So it's better for him, in order not to look disgusting, to sit next to that person with his back to him. So just a little comment on this eating and walking. But the author wants to bring the point across. I mean, it's not a Musar lecture, so he just saying, right? People are going to do it anyway. Okay. So continue. Therefore, the bracha he initially makes remains in effect as he continues to eat and drink en route to his destination, even though he enters and exits buildings, moves out of the site of the original location, and changes from one location to another. So he's walking, drinking coffee, right? So the blessing still goes in one building, in another building. I don't know, maybe postman. I don't know, something like that. No problem. So one bracha suffices. Continue. House to car. So we will section E, traveling, and the next situation 1, house to car. Okay. A change of location from one's house to his car is similar halachically to the change of location from building to building, which necessitates a new bracha. So basically, not to put just practical advice, not to put yourself in that situation. Don't start drinking or eating while you're in the house. So come to your car, make a blessing in the car, and you cover it according to all of the opinions. Don't put yourself in a questionable situation. Thus, if one wishes to spend some time in a house and takes something to eat, even though he expects to leave subsequently, right? Since he started eating with intention to remain in the house for a while, he is not considered a traveler. When he goes to his car, a new bracha is required. I'm not sure why he didn't wrote this situation. So one more time, maybe I missed something. Sorry, one more time. Thus, if one wishes to spend some time in his house and takes something to eat, even though he expects to leave subsequently. Okay, so he's about to leave. Maybe he leaves. He's waiting for somebody else's phone call. I don't know, right? So he's planning to leave. Since he started eating and with intention to remain in the house for a while, maybe he's waiting for another person to call from downstairs. Let's say he is not considered a traveler. When he goes to his car, a new bracha is required. If, however, one intended to eat in a car, but while waiting to depart, he began eating in a house, he is ready to leave at moment notice, he is considered a traveler, even though he is still in a house. For example, one grabs something to eat while waiting for a cab to arrive. He is considered a traveler, okay, even before leaving the house. When he does enter the cab, a new bracha remains valid. Okay, so basically, if it was his intention, right, he's ready to go any minute. So in the previous example, the person was, he's going, but he does not know when. Right here in this example, he's going on a moment notice. Okay, and he started drinking or eating, so no new bracha is required in a car. So commentary. Thus, he may continue eating in a cab without having to make a new bracha. He may also eat other foods of the same bracha category within the framework discussed in chapter 7. Right. So we said that if it's the same food category, so we assume that he may be intended to eat, to continue it, and so you don't need to say new blessing. Okay. So second scenario. One can make a bracha and start eating in his car, travel far from his original location, stop along the way to purchase beverage, for example, enter and exit a restaurant, and his original bracha will remain in effect. One more time. One can make a bracha and start eating in his car, travel far from his original location, stop along the way to purchase beverage, and for example, enter in exit restaurant, and his original bracha will remain in effect. So this is a short interruption going out in and out of the car, as well. Same about his room, his house, right? It's still not considered an interruption because it was for a short time, and for sure he had intention to return, and for sure he had intention to continue eating and drinking in the car. I'm not sure how can you eat in the car. I'm not sure. I mean, you have to watch the road. I'm not sure. Okay, number 3, roadside stop. If one stopped to eat on a roadside table or a picnic site with no intention to eat in a car, then that site becomes the eating location. Should he change his mind and wish to continue traveling, a new bracha will be required when he departs from the picnic area. That is when he can no longer see the original eating site. That's a very important notice. If he wishes to continue eating in a car, at the site, it is questionable if bracha it will be in effect. So basically, if he stops in in this picnic area and he wants to eat, there is no problem. Let him eat. But if he decides to go in a car, if drive away and let's say finish his coffee while he's drinking while he's driving, so this coffee would require new blessing. But they say it's very interesting. But if he can see from new location, his old location, he does not need to make a blessing. So my example would be, if he started eating outside and then rain started. Rain started, so he went to his car, and from his car, from the window, he can see this table, right? So it is after the fact, he does not need to make a new blessing. Continue. However, if it at the time he made the bracha at the roadside, his intention was to start eating there and continue eating in the car, a new bracha is not required. I mean, logically, right? So as the same in the previous examples, so he started to eat outside, wherever I eat, I have 10 minutes. In 10 minutes, he did not finish because he was reading emails. Now he has to go on the road, get back to the road. So he would need he would not need to make a new blessing because that was the original intention. Okay, number 4, airport. So similarly, when one starts eating in a cab or a car en route to airport with intention to eat wherever he can along the way, he may continue eating in a terminal on that plane, right? And on a plane. Not sure. I mean, today they're not going to allow any beverage outside beverages, but let's say in olden days. Maybe in some airports they would. I'm not sure. Where really they would not allow. But let's say they would allow. So basically, he started drinking, let's say, this cup of coffee in the car. He made the blessing, and he can enter the airport and even board the plane with his cup of coffee. It's very interesting. Same blessing. However, if one sits down to eat some food in the airport with intention of staying at a specific site for at least a short while, since he established that site for his eating session, should he subsequently choose to change location, for example, to eat in another terminal or to eat on a plane, a new bracha is required. So it's a very good example. So now sometimes they will announce a different terminal, right? You wait on this terminal, they say terminal change, please go to terminal, I don't know, 58B. So you go to 58B. So that you come there. You have to make a new blessing. Okay. So section F, but we delayed for such a long time. Very interesting. So topic is changing. Let me know if any questions, please. Okay. So section F, changing location after eating bread, Mezonos, or fruit of 7 species. Okay, so we said this case is exception. So he would not need to make a new blessing. But let's see. According to most poskim, the rule that the change of location terminates one eating session does not apply in cases where the food was eaten was a kezayis or more of bread, cake, or any product that made from wheat, barley, spelt, oats, rye, or rye flour. Right, so kezayis means, as we said before, approximately 28 grams, 1 ounce, plus minus. Okay. The rationale behind this halacha is explained more fully in the following note, in the footnote below. Okay, so if he ate kezayis, bread, so the simple explanation, as we learned before, that if person eats kezayis of food, any food, doesn't matter, bread or non-bread, so he's obligated to say bracha achrona, meaning the concluding blessing, right? So if he ate less than kezayis, so he would not be obligated to say. He's not allowed to say. Okay. So let's see the footnote. This leniency regarding bread, Mezonos, and fruit of the 7 species is based on a set of halachas pertaining to Brocha Achrona. As we said, the end blessing, right? But in the Fashos, the Brocha Achrona from most of the food, most types of the foods, does not have to be recited at the site where the food was eaten. For example, technically, one may eat an apple at home and recite Borei Nefashos in his car or his office. Preferably, however, one should make the Bracha Achrona before he leaves, as discussed in section G. Okay, so let's try to understand. So first, the fact that we know that if person ate 1 kizais, which is 1 ounce, approximately 28 grams, approximately, of food, so he or she needs to make a concluding blessing. Okay, first. Second fact that we found out, that if they ate something that requires a blessing, Borei Nefashos, so meaning all of the fruits, vegetables, technically everything except Mezonos, all of the cakes, cookies, right, from these 5 species, Mezonos, bread, and fruits from 7 species. That's it. So for all others, we say, and then for wine is also an exception, right? This special after blessing. But for all others, we say Borei Nefashos. All right. So Borei Nefashos you can say anywhere. Of course, it's preferable. It's never like sometimes like when there's too much on person's mind, so he can say no. I'll say later. I'll say later. And guess what? Never said it. So it's better you finish eating, say it right away. Do not delay 1 second. You finished, you say blessing, and that's it. You're free. So technically, you have some time. We're going to say later on how much time a person will have, but does not make any difference. A person can be confused. Did I say it? Not confused. Say. So a big problem. And of course, if we say it unnecessarily, so it would be blessing in vain. And it's a second of the. It's actually the third of the 10 commandments, right? Not to use Hashem's name in vain. That's the punishment for this is death penalty. So that's how serious. That's we have to treat this after blessings and prior blessings very seriously. Okay. So continue. However, the Bracha Achrona requires after eating bread and Mezonos, and according to some poskim, after eating fruit of the 7 species. So not everybody agreed to 7 species, but okay, let's see. And after drinking wine, generally must be recited where the food was eaten. Alternatively, if some bread or Mezonos is available, a second location, one may eat some more and make the Bracha Achrona there. Details this halacha may be found Shulchan Aruch or Chaim 184. Okay. So let's first understand before we continue what it says here. So the author is saying that if he ate bread or Mezonos, this one of these 5 species, and according to some poskim, even 7 species of these fruits, these grapes, pomegranates, olives, dates, right, and figs, and or he ate or he drank wine, right? So he should come back to the place where he was eating or drinking and say the blessing there. So, but if he went to another place and there is bread, or the cookies or the grapes in another place, so he can eat a little there and make after blessing in a new location. But he would need, and if he goes there, different location, most likely if it's far away, I don't know, so he would need to make a prior blessing. So I say, don't put yourself in that situation. Just finish when you're going out, say the after blessing, and that's it. Okay. But technically, so if he or she had to run and stuff like that, so you can say this Birchas Hamazon in another place, right? After the fact. I mean, there is no way for you to return. You already drove 1 hour, different direction, right? So you're not going to drive 1 hour back just to say Birchas Hamazon. So you're allowed to stop there and say Birchas Hamazon. Okay. continue. So, but it's all after the fact. For example, if one ate Danish in his office, he's required to make a bracha achrona in the office. Okay. If he went to his car and realized that he forgot to recite bracha achrona, he's required to return to the office to recite it there. If he ate cake in a car, if he has cake in a car, he may eat some there and make bracha achrona in the car. Okay, that's solution. But technically, he must go back. Okay. Since one is obligated to return to the original location to recite bracha achrona, if he does not have food in his on his second side, Chazal consider it as if the original eating session continues, even though there was a change of location. So it's brilliant explanation. Since he must go there anyway, right? So if I finish coffee in my kitchen and I'm in a car, I'm going somewhere. Okay, I'm not going to go back. I mean the coffee and finish, and I can say blessing in my car, so I'm going to say the blessing in my car. But since person is obligated to go back, so it's like his eating session never finished. You understand? So he can come back and eat, and he can come back and eat without blessing because his eating session never finished. That's the explanation. I mean, all of this long explanation just to get to this point. Continue. However, after eating any other foods, since one is not obligated to return to the original location to recite bracha achrona, the eating session ends when he leaves the original location. Right? But if he did not eat this bread or 5 species of grain, according to some, this 7 species of fruits, or drank wine, so as soon as he left the location, so his eating session ended, and he's not required to go back. So that's it. There's nothing to go back to, right? The eating session is finished, so he can say the blessing wherever he is. I hope it's not very confusing. But you can always buy the book and go and try to read yourself and ask the questions. So, but that's what it is. Okay, so let me. Okay. So we continue with bread. Mezonos, a fruit of 7 species, and we just explained why his eating session did not finish. So now, part number 1: change of location after eating bread. If one ate a kezayis of bread, so kezayis, we said one more time, is what, 28 grams, 1 ounce. If one ate a kezayis or more of bread and then changed location, he may continue eating all foods which are normally exempt by the birchas hamazon on the bread. Okay, so let's see the commentary. Regarding which food are exempt by birchas hamazon, see chapter 5. If one changed the location and also decided not to continue eating, see chapter 8. And then subsequently wish to eat, new bracha will be required. Okay, so let's try to understand. So what did we say in chapter 5? So when person goes and washes his hands and make the blessing hamotzi on the bread, he established himself as a like meal, right? He starts a meal. So everything what usually people eat during the meal course covered by this blessing, except wine, except desserts, right? But all other foods, like all of the salads, fish, meat, I don't know, like beans, whatever, vegetables, all of these things are covered by the blessing of chamotzi, right? So they say if he ate 1 kezayis at the first place, and then he moves to another place. So in that place, even in the first place, there were no other foods. Let's say to make an example, and he comes to a different place, and here they have different foods, so he can continue eating these foods even though he did not have in mind to eat them. Why? Because that's a definition of the bread meal, that you eat different foods, different dishes. Okay, they give an example. For example, after eating kezayis of bread in his house, one went to his friend's house and was invited to join the friend for supper. He may eat the meal at his friend's house without making new bracha, provided that it is a practice to occasionally eat there. See chapter 5. Okay, so I mean, I would not counter it on it so much. I mean, why would somebody start eating bread in his house and go to his friend's house? I mean, maybe they call it that they invited him. They say, we have a party, please come and Sheva brachas, whatever they have. Okay, I mean, possible, but okay, possible. Can note. So basically, so one more time the situation. So he started eating. He ate kizayis of bread in his house, and his friend called him, come, we have Sheva brachas in my apartment. So let's say it's apartment building. So he goes to his friend's house, right? And he can continue eating without making a blessing. And even without washing the hands, unless he touch his shoes or scratch himself or she scratched herself, right? In the places where usually covered, right? That's when we were talking about our friend Israel asked about the sweat, right? If it's poisonous. So the answer is the sweat is not poisonous, but it's tameh in some sense, right? It's tameh and it's not poisonous. We said in Kitzur that it is poisonous, right? So we said that it's tameh when you touch in the places where you usually cover. Right? That's the thing. Okay. So continue. Note, even though the change of location after eating bread does not invalidate one's original bracha, nevertheless, since there is a possibility that one might forget to recite bracha Achrona, one should initially not to go to a new location in the middle of eating session. One is permitted, however, to change location in the middle of his meal if at the start of his meal, that is when he recited Birchas Hamotzi, he had planned to conclude at the second place. This halacha is discussed more fully in the next section, section G. So what are we talking about here? So the situation we're talking about here, it's very interesting. And I mean, some people, I would say some people do it. Not where I live, but in one shul that I used to go that actually were doing this, right? What they were doing. During the morning kiddush in a shul, right? It was like half meal. I mean, there was the food. I mean, if somebody wants to eat a lot of this food, he would be full, right? But so the people would eat a little bread. They ate all of the other things, and they would continue. They wanted to come home and continue eating, or to go to somebody else's house. I mean, technically there is no problem, but practically I'm not sure why would somebody do it. Just say Birchas Hamazon or whatever, say whatever the ending blessing, and go to your friend's house. Why? I'm not sure, but technically it is allowed. Okay. Continue. Scenario number 2. So it says change of location after eating Mezonos. So now we were talking about bread. Number 1 was about bread, now Mezonos. If one ate kazayis or more Mezonos, except rice. So the rice, just to remind ourselves, on rice, before eating, we say Borei Mini Mezonos, right? Even though it's not one of the 5 species, it's not. But there is a mincha. That's our tradition. We say that. But after we finish eating rice, we say regular blessing Borei Nefashos, as we would say after any vegetable. Right? So the rice is exception in this sense. Okay, so one more time. If one ate kizayis or more Mezonos, except rice, and then change location, he may continue eating Mezonos in new location without making a new bracha. Okay, so as we said before, right? So why? Because as we said before, he technically has to come back to this location to say after blessing. So it seems like this eating session never finished, right? So he goes to new locations. He does not need to make a blessing. But I would say, I mean, I always I'm trying to never put myself in this situation. So I finish eating. Okay, say the after blessing. Who said it's going to be food just because they promise you food in another occasion? Who said it's going to be food? Maybe the room is going to be full and no place, and you don't want to stand there, and you leave, and you forget to say after blessing. Right? Not good. Continue. If one ate. If one ate other foods together with Mezonos, for example, he had cake and milk, the cake and milk, at the original location, it is questionable whether the other brachas, for example, shechakol, made on the milk, are also valid in the new location. I'm not sure why it would valid, but let's say. Therefore, although he is not required to make a new barem in Mezonos, it is questionable whether shechakol he made in original location will be valid for a new location. Regarding what to do in cases where making new bracha is questionable, see chapter 16b. Okay, so let's try to read one more time these commentaries and try to explain, because it's a lot of information here. So from the beginning, if one ate other foods together with Mezonos, for example, he can had cake and milk. So for cake, we said he is required to go back, right, and say after blessing in original location. But for milk, he does not. Right, so we said before, as soon as he leaves the building, so his eating session terminated for milk. For Mezonos not, but for milk it did. In a sense, okay. So continue. It is questionable whether the other bracha, for example, shechakol, made on the milk, is also valid in new location. So there is no problem with the cookies with Mezonos. Mezonos is covered, but problem with the milk. Right, so let's say is milk covered in another location. So let's see commentary. According to some poskim, since with regard to Mezonos, his eating session continues in a second location, it continues with regard to the other food also. Therefore, not only does barem Mezonos remain valid, but so are the other brachas. According to the other view, the Mezonos is not affected by the change of location. Even though the barem and Mezonos remain valid, the brachos under the foods become invalid as a result of the change of location. So, I mean, it's only logical, so it would be contradictory opinion to say, no, it's not valid. So, first opinion said, those poskim say that since it was his meal, right? Meal was cookies and milk. Okay, that's what his meal. So, and now he goes to another location. So his meal session continues in another location. So it continues for cookies and continues for milk, which is logical. But second opinion, guess what? Also logical, right? So it was only this exception only was about Mezonos, not about other things. So according to the second opinion, if he goes to another place and also wants to continue drinking milk there, he would need to say the blessing. Okay. Therefore, continue. So don't put yourself in this situation. Therefore, although he is not required to make a new barem in Mezonos, it is questionable whether shechakol he made on original location is valid in new location. So basically, there is no problem with the cookie. But the question is, can he continue drinking this milk or not? So according to some people, he can, right? According to other people, poskim, he cannot. And if so, according to the first opinion, if he would say blessing, so it would be blessing in vain. You understand? So basically, don't put yourself in this situation, because we cannot arbitrarily take any opinion. That's not how it works, right? So we try to find some solution. And solution, we're not going to wait until chapter 16. We're going to explain the solution. Simple solution. You just make a blessing on something else in a new location, and keep in mind that it should cover the meal. I don't know, what do we eat there? We eat, piece of, banana, yeah, right? We eat banana. And after blessing for banana, no, I apologize. Take it back. We were talking about prior blessing. So prior blessing would be, he would drink, water is not a good example. He drinks tea. So now he makes himself tea or coffee. He makes blessing on the tea or coffee and shechakol, and keeps in mind that this milk also should be covered. So that's the good solution. Okay, continue. But this in chapter 16, we're only on 9, so we're going to go over all of the possible solutions. But this is like the most straightforward. Or another solution, as we said before, ask somebody else to make a blessing, or whatever, if that person wants to eat, and ask him to keep me in mind. So please keep me in mind when you're going to say the blessing. That's another solution. Okay. Continue. Number 3. Scenario number 3. After eating fruits of the 7 species. So as we said, also there is some poskim say yes, some poskim say no. So don't put yourself in that situation. So it says, according to some poskim, the change of location also does not terminate the eating session, where the food eaten was one of the fruits of the 7 species. There is olives, dates, grapes, including grape wine or grape juice, right? Figs and pomegranate. Right, so wine is included in this. Okay. Many poskim rule that the change of location, even after eating fruits of the 7 species or drinking wine, does invalidate the original bracha. Therefore, initially one should not change location in cases such as this. Okay. So initially, let's finish. I'm going to explain. B'diavad. So B'diavad after the fact. So he already did it. He did not listen to the book. He did not never learn with us. He decided to be whatever he ignoramus, right? So B'diavad is one change location after eating the kezayis of one of the 7 fruits of species, fruits of the 7 species, or drank revi'is of wine. So revi'is, we said there are a few opinions. So one opinion was 3.2 ounces and 3.2 ounces. So 3.2 ounces is it's like approximately 86 grams cc, right? cc. Approximately, and from 3.2 to 5.5. I don't remember, 5.1, I think, or 5.3. Right, that's revi'is. So only unless he ate this amount of grapes, let's say, or pomegranate. So this pomegranate it's not so easy. You have to eat a lot, right? Even pomegranate is heavy, but it's because of the skin. It's not because of the seeds. Seeds are very they're very light, right? Or he drank this revi'is of wine or grape juice. He should not make a new blessing in new location. So since it's a questionable thing, and let's say there is no way for him to fix it, there is no other foods in another location, so don't make a blessing. Okay. Why? Because we said it's biblical prohibition to carry Hashem's name in vain. Okay, section G, almost finished. Check that quickly. Perfect. Section G, should not leave before making bracha achrona. Number 1, should recite bracha achrona before leaving. Okay, so that's very important. So as we said before, make for yourself a rule. Everything is going to wait. Everybody's going to wait. You say blessing. You say blessing after the food. That's it. So if somebody wants to talk to you, just show like 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever. Just you need to finish. That's it. The poskim state that one should not leave the location where he ate before saying the appropriate bracha achrona, in order to avoid the possibility of forgetting to recite bracha achrona entirely. Of course, coming to him. Also to avoid the possibility of being delayed beyond the time limit within which the bracha achrona may be said. Okay, so first of all, because he might forget completely. And second of all, maybe the time when we can say bracha achrona, the time span is going to expire. That's it, right? Or third, I mean, they say only two possibilities. When I had the third one, and he'll forget if he did say it or not. So now a person is a questionable situation. Okay, so number two, exceptions. In the following instance, one is not required to make bracha achrona prior to leaving. Okay, so let's say A, leaving for only a few more minutes. Okay, only a few minutes, so he's going to come back and you make a new blessing. And he'll not going to forget how to say it blessing. If one leaves a meal of bread or Mezonos for only a few minutes, for example, to take mail or to walk a friend out, since it is highly unlikely that he will forget to return to his meal, he is not required to make bracha achrona prior to leaving. Okay, only for a few minutes. We're talking about bread, meal, or Mezonos. Commentary. One who is eating foods other than bread and Mezonos should not leave for a few minutes, as discussed in A3. So he must stay because his eating session basically expired. In the cases of the questionable whether or not the new bracha rishona is required. So basically, proper before if he was not eating this exceptions, right? This bread, Mezonos, or 7 species of wine, right? So just say after blessing and go even for a few minutes with your friend. There's no problem. Okay, B, interrupting meal to perform a mitzvah. One is permitted to interrupt his meal in order to perform a mitzvah, which necessitates his immediate leaving. Okay. For example, one may leave his home in the middle of his meal in order to daven with a minyan or to attend a short shiur. So we're talking about bread, meal, or cake. Right? In this case, he is not required to say bracha achrona prior to leaving. So meaning he goes to pray mincha. Mincha is what, like 12 minutes or so, plus minus. So okay, so he's planning to come back. Okay, no problem. C, plans to conclude the meal in another location. If one if at the start of meal of bread or Mezonos, one plans to conclude it in a second place, he may leave without saying bracha achrona. Right, so he starts with bread and Mezonos, wants to continue in second place. So as we said, maybe he started in his house and planning to go to his friend's house. So what would be the example? I guess maybe not for adults, but maybe for children, right? So they did kiddush with their parents, right? And they ate bread, started eating bread, and they decided to go to visit his friend and join them for a meal. Okay, no problem. So I can continue. Therefore, one may plan to eat bread or Mezonos at home, and then join Chassan and Kala for Sheva Brachas in another location. Okay. In this case, he may leave the first location without making bracha achrona and continue eating the second location without making new bracha achrona. Okay. But just so you know, the longest Birchas Hamazon, it takes, I don't know, a few minutes to say. So why would he not want to say it? That's the problem. So we can stop here. So finish chapter. The next chapter is length of the time bracha is effective. So it's different, separate subject. Okay, any questions on any topic? Go ahead, please.
I have other topic here.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
So the situation is if a person was living as a guest in your house and made some damage or some items disappear during his stance, can you have possessions that belongs to this person, and he forgot them, and these items are food items, and they are expired.
So I didn't get the situation. Could you explain the situation again? Sorry, I didn't get it.
So you have a guest in your house
Yeah,
sometime,
yes.
and this person already left the house, the home, but
Yes.
he then you detect that this person made items disappeared. Also some damage you register in your home.
Okay, so one second. Let me understand. So you had a person in your house. So you went to the restroom. You came from the restroom, so the person is no longer there, and you see that you're watching your wallet disappeared, right? That's what you're saying.
Not necessarily, but after, for example, the contract finished, and he left the home. He's not returning.
Okay, okay.
But you detect that some minor items like some fork, some things that are not very much value, but still have some value. At the same time, this person forget items in your property, but food items. Food items that are expired. Can you take possession of these items?
No, you're not.
Or you have to pay for them.
So one second. So he left some possession in your house. So the question is, so this spoon, let's say, costs, I don't know, $5. Let's say, right? So the question, if you can take from his possession, he has a T-shirt. Let's say T-shirt also says $5. Let's say. So you want to keep his T-shirt, right? It's brand new, $5, and instead of this spoon, that's the question or not?
Equivalent. In this case, the forgotten items are food items, and they are expired.
Food items. That doesn't matter. Still, they have some kind of value. Let's say it's not perishable. Let's say it's some canned food, right? It can be like, if it's tomatoes and you don't know where the guy lives, of course you can eat the tomatoes. But if it's some food that is not perishable, right? In a canned food. So in this case, no, you're not allowed to keep it. First of all, how do you know that he stole it? You don't have any proofs. So unless it is proven that he stole, so you're not allowed to take it from him. You understand? That's your guess. Maybe your cat took it. Maybe, I don't know. There are different possibilities. Maybe you forgot. Maybe there's no proofs. So circumstantial evidence in Judaism means exactly zero. What is circumstantial evidence? Like you come into your apartment building, right? And you hear screams, right? Screams, and you see the guy covered with blood with a knife coming out of the apartment building. So you're not allowed. So the judges cannot prosecute this person because you saw him with a knife. You understand? That's in Judaism, it's not a proof that he actually killed the person. So all of this that you remember that you had 12 spoons and now it's only 11 or even 10. So it's not a proof that this specific person do it. Maybe it was a plumber or landlord of this apartment early on, and he's angry at you and he liked this you spoons of yours and you pay him less or whatever. So he decided to take it.
So what I've done with these food items, because they were expired, but the dogs have had benefit of these items because they have eaten.
Exactly. So basically, he knows where he left them, basically, right? So if you can bring to the person, so I think, like the way I see, he would be very embarrassed, right? So you brought in his apples or tomatoes back, and he stole from your spoon. So maybe he's going to get back to it, give it back to you. So I said, by the way, maybe by mistake, maybe something happened to my spoon. So
I didn't told him about the missing items, but I told that a bag almost full of groceries was left. These groceries were expired, and he told me that that there is no issue because they were expired. But my doubt is I must pay for these items because I took benefit of this.
No. One second. If he said, look, you told me you told him I have your stuff in my house and it's going to spoil, right? Because all of the vegetables, all of the fruits, right? So he said, I do not care. So as soon as he said, so when he said I do not care, meaning that he declared Hefker. Hefker means he renounced ownership of the item. So you can do whatever you want. You can throw out, you can eat it. Like sometimes like most of the things where we live, we buy over internet, right? So we buy over internet. So we bought one time like a dresser over internet. It's cheaper than buying a local store. Just delivery, right? So these guys brought to my house, and they broke the the shelves, right? They broke, and I mean it's clear. I mean if you can fix it if you want, right? But okay, so I called the company. They say make the pictures. So I made the pictures. I said, okay, send me a new one. Send me a new one, and they say, okay, we're going to send you one. I said, but these people who are going to come with new one, are they going to take back the old one? They said, no, you can do whatever you want with that. You understand? You can throw out, you can give it to your friends, you can give it to your mother, you can use it. So what we did, we called the company who makes it and say, we want to buy only a few drawers, and they sold the drawers separately. You understand? So we have 2 of those now. So it's up to them. They want to pay for shipping back. They can take the shipping. They say do whatever you want. I can do whatever I want. I'm not obligated to pay for it. I paid for a good item. Well, let's say in my case, right, for a good dresser, they send me a broken one. So I don't want it. That's not what I paid for. They want to come back and take it. Let them take it. They don't want to come back. I can do whatever I want. That's what they told me. You can donate. You can do whatever you want. You understand?
So another detail is that I was pending of telling him about the items because I didn't check at that time. We assumed both. We were talking about these forgotten items, but I didn't check the expire date. And I was pending to tell him if these items are already expired or not. I yet didn't tell him that these items were expired. So I give them to the dogs, and the dogs, for me, were expired, but for the dogs were okay, these items. So the main question is if I must pay my friend or my maid, my schoolmate for this.
No. I mean, what he would do is that he would not eat it. You understand? He would throw it out or give it to dogs or whatever. So I mean, if he would say, okay, I'm coming back to tomorrow or in 5 hours, okay, there is no problem. You can keep it. But if this food starts spoiling, you understand? It's going to smell in your house. It's going to attract all the roaches and flies. So who needs it? You understand? So you're okay. So you say you want to come back. If not, I'm going to throw it out or do whatever I want.
Yeah, the first day he left, he realized that some bag of some meat or whatever was missing. So I tell him I checked the house, there was nothing here. But maybe you can come back and check yourself. And in the end, this missing bag was beneath the seat of my car. It was very high. So we realized I discovered this bag almost 1 month later. These items were expired.
Of course. Yes. So of course you don't have to pay.
No. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Other question? We'll stop here. Okay, so if we stop here, so I wish everybody good Pesach. Kosher, when we're talking about Pesach, because we wish kosher at Pesach. And until Monday, Be'Ezrat Hashem. All the best until Monday. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night. Bye-bye.